Yo guys, what's going on? It's Acez here today with another video. In today's video, we are doing an honest review of 1.0 Tarkov. I played about 16 hours of PVE so far, and I've been really enjoying things. Wanted to give you a nice little review, just kind of everything that has happened so far, changed so far, and we'll just do a little breakdown here. If you guys are maybe on the fence, maybe you're just wondering how other people are feeling, or maybe you're genuinely considering resetting your account if you haven't yet. Any of the above, hey, hopefully I solved some of that in today's video. Do me a favor, make sure you're dropping a like on it here today, and of course, consider subscribing to the channel for more 1.0 Tarkov content real quick. Thank you guys so much for dropping subs over on the Acez TV channel. We have been dropping a ton of footage, and we hit over 500. We're at almost 530 already, so thank you guys so much for that. Truly does mean the world that we could potentially be getting to 1,000 a lot quicker than later. So let's hop in. Let's start with meds in the container. This is something that like people freaked out about. Honestly, as a PvE player, it doesn't affect me one bit. It has just made things slightly easier. Instead of me running every type of med in my pockets, I just put a grizzly in my container, and the serve kit is still sitting in my special slot. So I really have all my meds constantly okay, and I don't have to worry about meds. Now, Grizzlies are a little bit harder to get your hands on at the moment, so if I find meds in raid, if I kill a PMC or a raider, I will take their AFACs and keep them on me and use them. But at the same time, it's not something that affected me. That is a big thing for PvP, where having the meds in the container is something that a lot of people want. In PvE, it didn't bother me, guys. You know, it just makes meds a little more important. It just makes, you know, building your kit a little more important. You have to put a little more time into it, keep more meds on you in your stash. You know, it's just a quality of life thing at this point, and it didn't bother me one bit. So that might be a hot take, but you know, I'm gonna keep it 100. I didn't care either way. It could have stayed either way, and I would have been fine. The tutorial has been changed. So I did release a video talking about the free LEDX. Apparently, there's a GPU hidden somewhere on the map too that I didn't know about. That has been completely redone again. So it doesn't matter what you loot in the tutorial now, guys. None of it counts. None of it will stay. None of it will actually carry over. And you won't keep, like, if you find a measuring tape, you will not keep it once you're done with the tutorial. But they do give you a graphics card and a LEDX, and I believe they are found in Raid as of right now when you actually are done with the tutorial. And they now give you 2.5 million rubles along with 0 USD and 0 euro as of what I saw earlier. So you're still getting the LEDX, you're still getting the graphics card, but you're not getting any of the other stuff. Honestly, I don't love that change. That's not a change that I love, but at the same time, giving people the LEDX, that's still good. You know, and the graphics card is fine, I guess. It's not that big of a deal. You're going to need a shitload of them. One's not going to really break the bank by any means. The LEDX is definitely a big one, though. But as for not keeping what you find, it's going to kind of ruin the tutorial, in my opinion. You know, you want to look around, you want to loot, you want to experience Tarkov as it's supposed to be experienced. Now, let's say if you die or don't extract or whatever the reason be, still giving you the stuff afterwards, yeah, that's cool. But as for not giving you literally anything, like if you would get something you know is going to help your hideout right away, that's kind of a feels bad, man. I don't really love that change, but it's definitely not the end of the world. Let's talk about post effects next. This has been my biggest complaint as soon as they added it yesterday. I was literally playing. It's in the recording on, I don't know if it's like episode 6 or episode 7, which won't be up by the time that you watch this video. The post effects change that went live last night. They removed colorfulness and saturation. I sat there for 20 minutes trying to figure out something that was going to make my game look remotely close to what I was used to. And I did find a combination of like 25 Albert, 100 on the green colorblind setting, and then like a bunch of the other settings that made my game look a little bit more colorful and green. And that was on customs. I loaded up Streets of Tarkov, and the map looked the worst that it has ever looked in its history. So I just had to turn post FX off. I would assume these were removed due to some kind of exploit. If there was an exploit, I have no idea what it would have been or what it was, but I don't see any reason to mess with people's post FX. And by the time this video goes live, maybe they already changed it back or reverted it, but the game looks like shit now. I'm going to be honest. It does not look nearly as beautiful, and there has been no performance increase from them disabling colorfulness and saturation. If there would have been like a 20 FPS increase, then I'd be like, okay, this is fine. But now the game just looks shittier. It looks all right, but it just looks way shittier. So that's like my number one complaint out of everything we're going to talk about in the rest of this video. Flea market change, let's talk about it. I'm for it. This is a hot take, and I've said this in the past. You know, I have made so much content on the Escape from Tarkov flea market over the years. It's been one of the main things to drive people to the channel, honestly. Before we really went to, like, just information stuff, like, I was really hammering flea market content for a while. And even I said, as somebody who abuses the flea market to the max, absolutely, if it was gone tomorrow, I wouldn't have a problem with it. And that's because it actually puts value on things in Raid again. The changes, at first I didn't like them, but in all reality, I think some things don't make sense, but most things do. Quest keys, not at 25. That doesn't make sense to me. I'm just going to keep it 100. That does not make sense to me to have all keys locked at 25. As for other things, like docs cases, containers, putting the stuff behind the 25, and some of them are 30, some are 35, some are 40. I think injector case is 35. I think sick case is 40. Putting them behind those level locks actually makes sense, because what I had to do to get my docs case, instead of paying 99,000 rubles on the flea market, which is dirt cheap for docs case, I had to do the barter with Therapist. I had to look for the horses in Raid. I had to look for the lion. I had to look for the cat. When I got them, I was excited. I was happy about it. If I would have just bought that docs case off the flea market, I'd be like, okay, and that's it. And then that lion that I found on reserve in one of the safes, that lion would have meant nothing to me. That lion, that was my main priority. I immediately went from doing a task to, I need to get out of this raid because I need this docs case really bad. That is a good thing. Whether you like it or not, that is a good thing. The flea market change has slowed progression down 20 to 40% across the board. Now, like I said, I still don't agree with some of the stuff that is locked. Some of it just doesn't make sense. Some of it needs adjusted. Some of it needs tweaked. They probably did this on the fly. I'm going to be honest with you. They probably didn't know what to do with the Tarkov flea market until like maybe a week ago. Maybe even less. So I'd say let's give them a chance to maybe make a few tweaks here and there. But overall, it's another hot take for me. I think the flea market change is a net positive for players who like to rush through the goddamn game. We're in 1.0 now. Enjoy what has been given to you. Let's get into the true meat and potatoes of 1.0, and that is the in-raid, quote-unquote, traders. I absolutely love them. At first, I didn't, because I thought that I would have to do every single task through them in raid. So, not in raid in the sense of going in like I do on Lighthouse and going to Lightkeeper, not in that sense, but in the sense of I would have to go into the visit screen, go into their cutscene, and I would have to, for Mechanic, I'd have to do saving the mole through him. That is not the case. All of the normal tasks that we are used to in Escape from Tarkov are now side quests. They're now side tasks, and they are completed and interacted with the same way they have always been. All of the true new story content is done through the quote-unquote in-raid trader screen, in the cutscenes. That, as soon as I realized that had made all of those interactions that much cooler, because every single time I'm going to talk to Proper, talk to Therapist, talk to Skier, talk to anybody, I know this is new content. This is the first time I'm ever going to experience this, and I need to take it in and really enjoy it. And once I made that realization, it was just a perspective block. Once I realized that, it had made the story content way cooler. And I am on board with it, and I love it. It has been so much fun to do now. Now, at the same time, those in-raid trader screens, they've had some bugs. You know, some of the things have repeated more than once. Some of the things have just completely frozen. I've had to restart the game. There was a point for about the first, 24 hours of Jaeger, if you had, I think it was SSR on, that his entire background was just lit up like a flare and you couldn't see him at all. There's been some bugs, but it's a brand new thing in Tarkov. That is normal. And they haven't been game breaking. They haven't bricked my progress. They haven't bricked me more than 5 minutes. It is one of those things where, it's been really, really freaking cool and enjoyable, and I've been loving it. And that moves me into, the storyline itself. It seems like there's a shitload of content packed into the story of 1.0. I don't know how many chapters there are. I walked into the Dome on reserve, and I got my third chapter that really didn't give me any information on what to do. And one thing I've been doing lately is trying not to look too much stuff up. I've been trying to actually figure it out myself, which some people won't like to do. But for me, I want to try and experience it as literally as whole as possible. I don't want to just run to the solution online. I want to try and figure it out. So it seems like the story could be packed with multiple chapters, and it might be a shitload of content. I have no idea how long the story is. The next point is the noise. Not the noise in game. Not the audio in game. The noise online. As somebody who has been extremely critical of Escape from Tarkov in the past, and it comes from a place of passion, not from a place just to hate. You guys know I have a channel dedicated to Tarkov. It comes from a place of passion. As somebody who is critical of the game, I can confidently say that this 1.0 release, besides the server issues day one, has been as flawless of a patch that they have had in a long time for how much new stuff is in the game. I can completely understand a few bugs here and there with the in-raid traders. That's a big thing, especially for all the traders. They all have their own dialogue, all have their own interactions, everything. I can understand some bugs with that. That's an in-depth thing. There's people online. I saw one, and I'm not trying to call anybody out specifically. I don't know if I'll put it on screen or not. I probably won't, just so I don't cause drama. But there's one guy who has over 2 million subscribers on YouTube, plays video games for a living, and he tweeted out some bullshit saying, like, Escape from Tarkov, I've heard a bunch about it in the last, how many years. I decided to try it out today. It is the most bug-filled, just terrible experience release I have ever played, not recommended. That is a person who didn't actually play the game. I do not care. You could not have played more than 2 hours in Escape from Tarkov for you to actually experience the game and understand what is going on, and for you to actually make a bold statement like that with such a large following is such it's either rage bait or it is just a dog shit person reviewing the game. Just like the guy that reviewed Arc Raiders for IGN. Complete idiot. Literally somebody whose opinion is so irrelevant that the fact they even work for a company like IGN, who is not a good company at all, allegedly, and it's one of those things where people like that make opinions on the game, they're noise. Their opinions do not matter. You need to take it from somebody like myself, like Peanut, like Landmark, like Pastilli. We have all very different perspectives, very different backgrounds, and you need to take all of our criticism into one bucket, figure out, hey, what's Pest not like? Is it something BSG can fix, or is it something that Pest himself doesn't like? Me, I don't like the post-FX change, but that is not something that is going to directly impact your experience. Maybe you do like the kind of washed out, more post-apocalyptic feel that you get from the true graphics of the game. Whatever the case is, you have to take everybody's opinions and take it from people who play Tarkov a lot. Do not take Joe Schmo down the street who's played 2 hours. Don't take their shit serious. I'm telling you, it's all noise. So when it comes to that noise, don't listen to it. That's my opinion. And if you think, oh, well, just because you played the game 3K hours doesn't mean your opinion is any more relevant than his. Actually, I think it does. So that instantly makes your opinion irrelevant if you're thinking like that. That's how my brain works. I mean, let's use some common sense here, ladies and gentlemen. Next point I have here on my list is there's not really any bugs. I mean, like, I had one where Friend of the West Part 1, I turned in my 5,000 USD. It took the money, didn't complete the task. I restarted the game, task was complete, I moved on. If we're going to complain about bugs like that, we're just complaining to complain. I literally, it happened on recording. I don't know what episode it is over on the Acez TV channel, but literally, I was just like, okay, I'm not even going to freak out about it. I'm just going to restart the game. It's going to be done, and we're going to move on. And that is as simple as it was. It took an extra 2 minutes out of my day. Wasn't a big deal. With memory leak, resetting your game often isn't even a problem. You want to be resetting Tarkov every 2 hours if you're playing for a while. It's one of those things where, in reality, this is probably the most bug-free patch that I've ever played. That I genuinely mean that. Like, it has not been that bad. Next point here on my list. It's worth it. If you are just thinking about hopping into Tarkov for the first time and you think this looks like a game that might really satisfy that itch for you, it's absolutely worth it. You can just buy a standard account and buy PVE. I think all in, that's what, $70? That's the price of a AAA title nowadays anyway. What do you want to buy? Tarkov and PVE or Black Ops 7? It's a pretty layup choice. It's one of those things where if you are a long-term Tarkov vet, and is it worth it for you to come back? I think it is. I've really been enjoying the story. I've really been enjoying it. Maybe you won't, but I have definitely been enjoying it. So, is it worth it? Yes. No other complaints, no other arguments. Yes. The last and final point is stop crying and play the fucking game. There is way too much crying about this and that. I think me crying about post FX, it's under this point. I just need to shut the fuck up and play the game. And that's exactly what I did. It annoys me that my game's not as colorful, but I just turned post FX off and I played for like 5 hours straight afterwards. I just stopped crying about it and I just started playing the game. That is the approach you need to take. If you want to have fun with this patch, don't nitpick. Don't find the little shit. Just play the fucking game and enjoy it. It's one of those things. I'm a grown-ass man. If I'm going to sit here and play video games to chill, I shouldn't be sitting here fucking crying about some fucking colorful graphics. Like, come on. Let's just enjoy this fucking masterpiece we're playing. You know what I mean? So that is my full list, what I have written down. I'll give you the slight recap. What I have written down is meds in the ass, tutorial change, post FX, flea market, in-raid traders, the storyline, the noise online, not really any bugs, it being worth it, and to stop crying and play the fucking game. That is my entire list. That is where my review comes from. That was the rough outline. There's nothing else written other than what I just read off to you, so everything else was off the top. And, it's, largely unscripted. I just needed a little bit of guidance, so I wouldn't get off on any tangents. I can get a little rowdy here. But, ladies and gentlemen, it is currently 6 p.m. I just woke up, and I have a lot of Tarkov to play today, and I hope you have some ahead of you as well. I hope you're enjoying the game. And just once again, thank you so much for the support over in the Acez TV channel, man. Really does mean the world to me that, we're getting to upload the long-form stuff. And for all you guys who have been asking for years for me to stream, that's the closest thing I can give you to me actually streaming, because my brain just will not multitask like that for streaming. So I appreciate you guys a ton. And only one video today, but it's like 20 minutes. So hopefully that satisfies you. Hopefully 2 videos tomorrow. I'll see you then. I'm out.